It's not just strategy. An edge in day trading thrives or dies by the trader behind it. Welcome to Trading Ascension, where the information guides you along the personal and spiritual growth journey toward profitable day trading. I'm Jason E., and in each episode, you'll discover practical self-development tools and transformative mindset practices to break through emotional blocks, mental noise, and self-sabotaging habits, so your mindset can finally support your edge. This show is for growth-minded day traders who want result-focused trading psychology and personal growth tools to sharpen their edge and decrease their emotional swings. If that's you, keep listening because... In today's episode, I want to talk about the trading problems that are killing your results and stomping out your confidence. The ones that just won't die. The recurring mistakes that linger because you've never had a clear way to attack them. They keep showing up in your emotions. They keep showing up in your P&L. You wake up trying to force yourself into this positivity, right? And you ignore that looming feeling of doom. And it's just a whisper, and it's just like a heaviness, a feeling that says, I hope today is great, but shit, I might blow an account today, who knows? You can crush these challenges to your psychology, not with hype or hope, but by changing how you relate to those problems and the specific actions you take to improve them. If you've been stuck in the same mistake for months, it's not that you're broken. It's that your problems are undefined and unmanaged. Today, I'll show you a simple way to turn one recurring issue into a clear, winnable target so you get real progress instead of another cycle of frustration. If you commit to this structured approach, and those elusive misaligned actions become visible enemies, you can start destroying them one by one. If you've been revenge trading after losses, forcing trades when conditions aren't right, tilting after a string of stops and hitting your stop loss, or just living with that nagging feeling that your actions don't match your goals and your profits, dreams are just far off, then this episode is for you. I'm Jason E., and together we explore the personal and spiritual growth journey toward profitable day trading. And I'm biased, but I don't think any other community is having these real conversations. But, every video I watch, I hear someone say the same thing. Look, I get it. You're probably like me and you watch those slick day in the life of a trader videos too, especially the ones with great production. They're fun to watch. But I had to realize that osmosis only works to a tiny degree. I've never skipped a revenge trade because, YouTuber trader Darth Vader was shopping in Puerto Rico, right? It's entertainment. It doesn't save accounts. Well, what does work? These tools today. When I started passing, funded evaluations, and especially the first few, it felt like winning the lottery. It was like less plausible than me finding a suitcase of cash. That's how my mindset was. And I started using these exact shifts and methods. And now I trade with a lot of prop firm accounts. $1 million in, funded buying power in the market. Not $1 million in the bank, right? Being very clear here. But it gives me the ability to place, if I was maxing it out, 100 contracts in the market. If you think about that, 1 point with 100 contracts, it's $2,000 a move. I trade small, of course, so I can, stay sharp. No way near that 100 contracts, but I'm proof, right? That I'm not a genius. I'm not lucky. I'm just willing to work hard. And if you're tired of fluff and need to improve your day trading, this show is going to be for you. 2 mental shifts helped me change that path. And I want to front load value on this episode. So I'm going to break down these shifts. If you seek to understand them, then when adopted, they will align you with a winning mindset. So let's dive into the shift number 1. I'm going to take a real quick drink here. You know, most successful people believe life is always working out for them. It's not happening to them. It's happening for them. I know a secret to unlocking this mindset, not through, like vague affirmations you half-heartedly repeat, but in a deep way that actually shifts your reality. Step 1, using your trading monetary goal to set up your daily action. This does 2 things. First, it gives you the ability to truly focus on process over profits because you know the process leads to the profits of your dream. I've talked about that before, but second, and this is huge, it rewires how you see life entirely. Life starts recognizing you based on your focus, and it starts reorganizing for you. A person with a clear goal gets challenges that are meaningful. The science of physics and even quantum physics, it supports this is real in the world. Your focus collapses possibilities into meaningful experiences. Truth is, everyone has challenges. Everyone has problems. Everyone has setbacks. What separates people is the larger meaning of their personal problems and where they land after overcoming them, or where they fall if they don't overcome them. When you're wondering without a clear trading goal, your problems feel random, frustrating, pointless. You revenge trade, tilt, force setups. And these are the wanderer problems. They attack a trader that has no direction, who just wants to win more. But lock into something specific. Like, okay, I'm going to, pass this eval the next 90 days. I'm going to scale to more funded accounts. I'm going to hit 76 or 70% in my rule adherence. You set that up daily with clarity on action and psychology needed, and everything changes. Now life doesn't seem so random. It doesn't send random chaos. It sends you the exact challenges you need to become the trader who can handle the goal that you're set on. You've heard the obstacle's the way. In trading, the recurring revenge trade isn't proof you're broken. It's the assignment standing between you and your profitable future. Your goal gives you but it gives every issue you face purpose. Suddenly, every setback becomes intelligence about exactly what you need to master next. It's the next part of your story, the next part of your journey. When you know this, even how you seek goals, how you pray changes. And let me give you a real example from my life, right? I worked as an admissions counselor for a college. Not important, but every day I had to drive to this job. And at the time, the highway was 2 or 3 lanes. Back then, it was a parking lot during rushing hour. I hated it. Rants, aggressive drivers. I was doing defensive maneuvers, 4-row rage moments. Right. After months of this, I started praying for patience and inner peace because I was just showing up to work just out of it, stressed. About a week of consistent, just focused on, hey, God, I need this. I need patience. Please grant me patience. Then I noticed about a week later, my drive got comically worse. Like, this can't be real levels of bad drivers around me. People cutting in, braking for no reason, just absurd. Right. So absurd. I just had to laugh. And after some contemplation, it hit me. I had asked for patience, and life delivered countless situations to practice it, to build patience. You ever set a goal and life seems to go backwards? You say, I need to make more money, and suddenly debt starts piling up, right? Things pop out of nowhere. It just, things break down, and all of a sudden the money you have is gone. You might say, I need, better relationships, and then the people around you start to drop off. That's not punishment. Life gives you what you ask for based on how you ask. So here's what I learned. And these are your two massive takeaways to elevate you right now. Number one, your problems aren't the enemy. They're your trainers, but only if you have a clear goal that you're dedicated to. The person with goals gets all the daily situations needed to build them up as a person. And after years of playing the, manifestation game, I got good at creating growth situations, right? I got good at, cutting me off on the highway, working on patience type things, but I stayed stuck on the path of pain. Life was forging me, just like, kind of like the Bible talks about the potter shaping the pottery with these molding hands in a fiery kiln. Beautiful, but painful. So I asked myself, Jason, how do I skip at least some of these pain situations if I'm dedicated to this path of growth? And the answer was be the change that I wanted to see. Instead of praying for patience and getting beaten down until I accepted it, I realized we can start with the end in our mind. If I declared way back then, hey, I am a patient person, I could have skipped months of growth torture and landed at the destination faster. The situation that gives us permission to become something and become something new, they're less painful and more useful than getting molded. And they prove the obstacle is the way. So there are three paths in life, not just three exactly, but just to drive this point home. There's the low road with no goals in life, right? No goals in your trading. And then your problems seem very random. Or worse, you're having the problems and the direction of whatever the controllers of the world want for you. Pure pain, endless setbacks. And then there's like a path to like a mid road, right? Where you're wanting to be something. The universe works on exact matches. So life gives you the experience of almost there because you're wanting, daily shit you endure while saying, dang, I need more patience. Life goes, cool. Here's more practice for what you want. And you stay in that wanting stage, right? You stay in the permanentness of that now. And then there's path 3, right? Be, do, have. Claim it up front. I am a patient person. Life agrees, sends you experiences that match that identity. And look, I can't rewind that timeline to measure what was gained or avoided. But that commute, it taught me this lesson forever. Because once I said I am patient, things started changing. And this is the application in trading. Don't pray or set goals on the path of pain, right? Don't put your targets on the path of pain. Don't say, I want to be profitable. This keeps you in the infinite journey of wanting. You have to declare, I am a profitable trader, and accept the assignments that life sends you after that, and accept it with a positive attitude, right? Have faith in the grace of your personal situation. I'm not saying nothing fluffy outside of yourself, but wake up with faith that, hey, this is for me. What happens today is getting me to where I want to go because I'm locked in on where I want to go. The words that we use in self-identifying are super important for goal seekers. Don't get on the path, right? Arrive at the destination in spirit instead. Then walk whatever the path is in front of you, just step by step. And you have to understand that paths don't go anywhere. They're infinite. Right? So whatever path you're on is the experiences that you'll continue to have until you change your mindset. And this is why the entire Trading Ascension Success Generator system, it starts with goals. This helps you align and find your personal success path, not some random river of consciousness. Right? So that's one shift. 2, emotional neutrality, I guess would be the word, towards your desires. Once you've set a goal, you have something locked in on. Here's the next danger. The danger is you gripping too tight to the outcome and it starts to control you. When you need to, pass that eval or hit that 2K day to day, and you just gotta have it, and you're grimacing and you're tight about it and stressed about it. That desperation, it leaks into every decision. It starts to spawn fear, scarcity, urgency, and your energy gets completely hijacked. And this is, kind of a basic spiritual understanding, but it's brilliantly. Ooh, let me take a drink here. In a brilliant way, it's highlighted in, now I can't even think of the guy's name. It's Reality Transurfing, Vadim Zilin, I believe is his name. And in that book, he explains pendulums, energy structures that feed on emotional charges. And it goes back and forth like a pendulum, right? Like those metal balls you see in offices, swinging back and forth. But if you grip your trading too hard, you're creating a pendulum that's pulling towards you hard, but also pushing away from you pretty consistently. And here's the science behind it. Quantum mechanics, it shows that your emotional importance distorts the probability field. High attachment creates resistance. It forces the target to recede. You lower the importance if you stay neutral, if you become the goal, make it natural in your life, make it neutral in your energy, and then the goal starts to float towards you. And it flows towards you in a natural way. So the fix is simple, but it is profound. Stay neutral about the result. Obsess with the process of day trading. I know you're not getting rid of the goals, because we start with the goals. You still want the fun of the count. You still want the profits. You still want the freedom. But emotionally, you're cool. The key, focus on who you have to be to receive that goal. Don't target the goal and the tangible things outside of yourself directly. It's going to push it away, especially if it's not an energy match. Instead of, I need the money today, when the pendulum's activated and the energy scrambles. Instead, your mantra becomes, my actions perfectly execute my plan today. Same desire, cleaner energy, leading toward consistent trading. And, that's where real edge lives. It lives when these energy pendulums starve, probabilities align, decisions flow from clarity, and most traders miss the quantum advantage completely. So here's the trading game changer. Set goals that are directed at who you need to be, and don't put goals on a pedestal. Once you know the identity required for your trading goals, I am a disciplined, process trader who hits 70% rule adherence. Once you are clear on that, spend as much time as you can daily living in the mindset and the energy. And you're doing that as practice. When your energy matches the trader who already has the, funded account that you seek, or the target that you seek for profits, they start to show up. Emotional pendulums can't touch you. life starts to coordinate with the direction you're moving in. All right, so to get to the meat of the show, let's talk about 3 practical approaches to solving trading problems, tools that you can use immediately, and they're going to change your relationship with issues, and they're going to start getting you on a winning track. And then I'm going to walk you through exactly how to apply the success generator system, the SGS structure, so you can overcome one specific recurring problem step by step, targeting the solution. I call these things improvement methods. There's the relationship method, the reduction method, and the reaction method. So again, we'll get into the meat of it. Let's talk about 3 perspective shifting tools that give you concrete action steps to defeat trading psychology issues and the self-sabotaging action that they force you to take. Think about it like this. I'm handing you a monster kill book, right? One chapter teaches you garlic and steaks to eliminate vampires. Another shows you how to craft silver bullets for werewolves. These solutions are to stop any trading hurdle standing between you and your goal. I call them improvement methods because as I was step by step building the success generator system, tackling just one problem at a time that was in front of me, I kept running into the same issue. I knew what I needed to work on, but I lacked a process to rapidly or even expeditedly transform my mindset and the actions that I took so I could advance as a day trader. So these growth methods came out of real life struggle. And again, I call it the relationship method, the reaction method, and the reduction method. So the relationship method. This is how you approach your current trading problems by asking, what's my relationship with this situation? And there are always 2 sides to every relationship, the desired and the undesired. What you like about the situation, what you don't. The relationship method, it teaches us to accept what currently is while consistently building a stronger connection with the goal, getting intimacy with the things and with the things that are desires of our reality. And so let me show you where this came from. When I started trading, I wanted anything to do outside of staring at the charts, right? I never traded Forex, so late nights, weekends, the market was closed. The relationship method prompted real questions. Like, how well do I know this 21 EMA I'm using? Why aren't any market orders or aren't my market orders always filled when price action hits that level? What does a successful trader actually believe? And so those random thoughts became information seeking opportunities, not paths where I just needed to know everything, just small steps toward professionalism. It's like, getting to know a new friend or dating someone. You got just small questions at the beginning. So when's your birthday? How many siblings you have? Small things that over time build knowledge intimacy with your trading system. So I, just enhance my learning at this steady pace, mastering my system piece by piece. And I'd also ask, what can I do to feel better about the loss that I'm holding on to? I develop, sharper focus from asking these direct questions. So when YouTube popped up, I was locked in on solutions, and that broke my trading entertainment kind of channel addiction. Right now, and I still watch those videos, but I'm not gorging on them like I used to, like I was missing something and going to find it. But because I was locked in on a question, the answers that I needed started to pop out of all sources of information I was taking in. Life started dropping answers randomly, even in, my day in the life videos, like I was talking about. Another example of goals making life organized for your benefit, right? Which has kind of been a theme. Here's the framework, the cornerstone of successful day trading psychology. You want to establish profound connections with both yourself, know thyself, and your trading data, but also your trading system. To improve your relationship with success, you just have to ask these questions that push you down paths of improvement. How well do you know yourself as a person, right? How would you react to a situation if you were wealthy? So you start by rigorously tracking everything that's happening in your system, right? And you just journal it. You're looking to uncover disparities between the plan and the actions you're taking. And this reveals just mental state patterns, right? And these mental patterns, the psychology is going to be the number one factor in trading triumph. So these prompted questions, and you focused on the relationship with yourself, with your system, with your goals and your vision. It's going to cultivate mindfulness. It's going to prompt you to meditate more, journal more, to shed mental, emotional, and spiritual burdens. And the clarity is going to give you the ability to make decisions like a pro. And then you have to ask yourself, or I guess the relationship method kind of asked you, how do you hold this issue in your energy and your mind? Right? As you're looking at problems, you want to first look at the relationship you have with them. If you see revenge trading as proof that you're undisciplined, you'll hide from it. You see revenge trading as your current assignment to your funded future, you'll study it. So is that goal just a fantasy, or is it a contract, right? A binding that's going to be fulfilled via contrast in your life? Your relationship with that situation is what determines that. On the other side, you want to decrease your relationship and the energy you give to negative people, negative situations, and negative circumstances. The payoff is you're going to withdraw your energy from that negativity, the losses, the doubt, while building intimacy with the positive parts of your system, your future, your identity, even your technology tools. You're building a relationship with them as well. I remember I spent one weekend just learning a few new areas of my trading platform, and it was game changing. Life notices. Solutions appear. Your edge starts to compound. So always improve relationships with your trading system, your next goal, your future self, your technology tool. Last thing I want to say here on this topic is the reaction method. And this is all about how you respond to what happens in your reality. The foundation is the perspective shift that we talked about, I guess, beginning of this show. I was going to say last show, but the foundation is, do you believe life is always working out for you and it's always working on your behalf? Do you believe that for yourself? The reaction method is about high-level energy management. Think like those elemental warriors last airbender style. Not being overly reactive to problems, not overly excited by the wins. This creates space for wiser responses, your inner wisdom to arise. It reduces stress and it fosters deeper growth across spiritual, psychological, and personal development kind of lenses, I guess would be the word I'm looking for. So here's how it works. The reaction method, it forces you to focus on your first response when an issue shows up. Break a rule, dumb trade, it's fine. That's the event. The real damage or the real growth opportunity happens in the moments immediately after that situation. Sometimes immediately before. But if you spiral into shame or tilt or more bad trades or run your pre-decided protocol, right? You want to pause. You want to breathe. You want to tag the situation in the trade by journaling it. You want to activate some plan B if you have one. And when you do that, you can face the same issues that you would have before, but you're going to have a totally different future because of how you react to these situations and the power you're giving them. Because this is going to be absolutely powerful for you. It's almost like a litmus test of who you are versus who you seek to be. Get furious at a loss. You got to think about the $1 million version of you probably shrugs. Market is ramping up on news and FOMO hits you. You jump in. How about, how you react to a huge win? How do you react to FOMO versus how the successful millionaire version of you reacts to these situations or that huge win that probably happens to them daily? They're going to react a little bit different, right? And the truth of self, right? Watching your reactions, it tells you who you are. And that truth of self, it will set you free when you face it. A reaction focus is going to build emotional regulation, resilience. It's going to build creativity for reframing things versus rumination. In your trading, it's going to kill impulsive loss chasing. Over time, it's going to mirror your meditation practice for disciplined growth. It's going to start to bring that habit in. It's going to shift you from these automatic habits to intentional choices. So how do you do it, right? Well, you notice your reactions and then improve slightly next time you have that catalyst. A loss made you scream today. Tomorrow, just groan. Just try to improve slightly. The key is practice being your best self. Raise your discomfort alarm, right? That's a kind of a takeaway of this. You're going to start to notice sooner when you're off instead of, exploding post-loss. So the reaction method plus self-knowledge, it's going to catch the tension before it explodes. It's going to help you stop the train before it starts to build up steam and traction and momentum. And it's going to make it easier to redirect your emotions and your state of being. The number one tool to aid in building your reaction and the relationship method is the skill of meditation. And here's why. When you meditate, and I'm talking about just sitting in silence, right? Just some moments in silence, nowhere to be, nothing pulling you. If you do that, it's going to strip down all of the weight on you, the thoughts, and it's going to bring you to your core essence eventually. And you're going to start to build a relationship with that state of being, right? How does it feel just to be me in this moment? Nothing pulling me, nothing calling me, even if it's just for a few minutes. That's the real you. Think morning wake ups, right? There's a pure moment of just being. And then the layers of the world start to pile on you. Beliefs, fears, to-dos. What happened yesterday? What needs to happen today? That slight moment of inner peace and space, it becomes, I am this, I feel that. Until next thing you know, your current paradigm just blankets you. But meditation, it reconnects you to just are, right? That state. And the habit of being, just is or just are as a state will aid you in noticing when emotional or thought layers pull you off track. Because you know better and have a better relationship with your baseline. Now, non-meditators, right? They can't spot the extra straw on the camel's back until it breaks down, until they start having life problems or health issues. But you don't want life to speak to you in an aggressive way because you didn't listen. until it started yelling. When you start becoming a meditator, just sitting a few minutes with no pull to do things, right? You can set a timer so you know I'm not going to overdo it, miss anything, right? This will stop this time. I'm going to be here forever sitting in this chair, right? So set a timer if you're just getting started with this. And as you're meditating, you'll see how much gets buried, how much you're just needs to flow out of you as you seek to keep marching with the sheep of the world, right? And keep doing things that may not have as much importance as you think. So meditation, it unifies all these methods. The relationship method, right, of you knowing your true self clearly. Reaction method can help you catch these deviations sooner, respond wiser. And then the reduction method, right, is about seeing illusions as added layers and not core identity, right? So in the reduction method, we'll talk about that last here. The reduction method is simple. We focus on dropping the bags of the current life in exchange for the gifts of your future self. And you do this consistently, one occurrence at a time. We seek small percentage improvements, not life overhauls, just 30 minutes cut from the late night binge during the trading week, right? Compared to the shows you watched yesterday. One less rule breaking trade this hour. Using the success generator system, the SGS structure, it means you already have set actions and clarity on who you must be to execute them, right? We did that when we set it up last few episodes. Then once you run the system, data reveals undesired results. It's time to discard the thoughts, beliefs, and actions that are impeding your ambitions at that point. So from the trading plan, again, episode, kind of 1 and 2, we talked about crafting a vivid mental portrayal of your envisioned future self. The accomplished trader with specific attributes and traits matching your achievements. And then you embark on daily actions, shedding habits that no longer serve your goals. Look, you are your trading edge. You're pivotal in your trading system. Authentic success is going to blossom when self-improvement becomes your cornerstone. So instead of fixing everything, reduce one issue, one occurrence, face it at a time. No perfection needed, just fewer repeats. Last week, you had an hour-long toxic victim mentality friend chat. This week, hey, try for 45 minutes. 5 revenge trades weekly. Well, next week, 4, then 3. Improve adherence scores for that single issue by a small percentage each cycle that you're running. And this is going to compound into you being a totally different trader. Why this works? Well, reducing baggage slowly prevents feeling lost mid-growth. And that means like you're leaving the old self behind, but you're not fully convicted on who you are yet. You want to drop the bags first, and then the relationship method is going to fill that vacuum with new ways of being. And you want to worry about that void pulling the old habits back in. And, it's built on the foundation of that trading plan, because once that's in place, trading becomes a reduction game. Success equals what can you not do today, right? That's the adding on versus negation. And you want your mind to scream like, what can I do? And I don't say you want it to, but it can scream, what can I do to succeed faster? And you have to pause. You have to ask yourself, what would successful me not be doing? You might be thinking, what can I stop doing to become more successful? What should I not act on today to move forward? So you're reducing these things in the reduction method. This is exactly what we do with the data from, the last week's trading cycle. When it falls into the undesired category, we want to start reducing it. So we employ all improvement methods, and you're going to see your vision open up to start seeing growth opportunities with greater ease, because you have 3 ways to apply a methodology to changing, right? By the relationship you have with it, reducing what's going on in that situation, and how you react to those situations. So let's apply everything, right? How do we take these perspectives and methods to solve your most pressing trading issue using the SGS structure? So laser focus time. So the improvement methods are already baked into the whole approach. Somewhat, right? But you have to be mindful of them. And this is another reason why systems let you accomplish more, right? While keeping things simple, because you can have a lot in a system. You don't have to focus on all those moving parts. Simplicity is key. A lot of times it's harder to talk about things than it is to implement them. It's like if I was explaining throwing a baseball to you, right? And you've never thrown a baseball, never held one. And I'm like, you got to grab it. You got to squeeze your fingers. You got to take your arm back. You got to put your elbow up, right? Got to put the ball up by your head. Like, well, however I would describe trying to throw a ball. But when someone actually throws a ball, they're like, oh, that's simple. So a lot of the things we talk about here are long, drawn out conversations, but we want simplicity in implementing these things. So the methods are built into this system, which is, why systems are great. And I built this exact process using deliberate practice research and psycho-cybernetics principles. So personally, it helped me beat trading problems, still is. But when I was new, I was real focused on problems. And right now it still sharpens me as I'm experienced. So it can work no matter where you are at in your trading career. And here's where the rubber meets the road. Again, you got total clarity on the exact actions that you need to take daily because you set up a system. You got a trading plan. You got a trading strategy within that plan. And you know the traits of the person that you need to be, that state of being that lets you execute without self-sabotage. Doesn't mean you do it all the time, but you have clarity on these things. You're moving towards these things. This is support to move down that path. And again, all of that's part of the trading plan that we created in the last few episodes. So you run a cycle, right? Could be a trading week before you're ready to review. When I was starting out, I did reviews every Friday. Now I do 50 trade reviews. So however long it takes to do 50 trades, I run my review after that. Like I talked about in the other show, there's 2 timelines, right? A shorter timeline for psychology changes and a longer timeline for system changes, right? So your cycle is somewhat based on that, but when you're early trading, probably a week. A week's probably good. And then you're going to pull all your data sources together. Now, for me, and what this might look like is maybe a trade journal with notes from before and after the trading session, plus some moments that you capture while you're on the chart. One habit I started doing was writing down the trades I didn't take that I was tempted to. That was helpful, especially for a season when I was, in a cycle, kind of a madman cycle of it. I feel like we've talked about those 30-day cycles, but even after just 3 episodes, I'm kind of lost in the information we've given out this season. So much value, so many things that are helping me. Thankful for it. So you got the screenshots as well. We're talking about the data sources that you're gathering as you go into a cycle review. Maybe performance data from your system. I personally, I manually log the trades and my rule adherence into Google Sheets. I used to analyze everything for the reviews, but now I heavily rely on the trade pictures and those logs that I create manually. So whatever data, setup you've got, the key or the sauce lives in adherence list. Remember, we created this from your trading strategy setup. Again, if you haven't caught that, you want to go back on the last 2 episodes. But we built the checklist of what needs to mentally occur, and not mentally, but it needs to happen. And sometimes you physically check it off the list, right? So mentally or physically, you're checking this list before you enter a trade. You're checking this list, to make sure you're adhering to how you manage a trade when you're in the market. And then you have that guideline and those rules for when to exit it. Now, for me, it's about 7 to 10 rules that would make an A+ trade. And the reason that it's a range, because some things only trigger when other things happen first, but I like to break them out to every single factor. So I'm crystal clear on where my edge lives and where my mistakes might hide. So I grade every single trade against my rules. A perfect trade, an A+ trade, meets most, if not all, of those rules. That's a desired result, no matter what the P&L shows. As you analyze your cycle and you grade each trade, it becomes this clean statistical number. Total trades, the times that the total rules were given weekly. For example, let me just give you an example. I don't know if I'm saying this right. Say you have, 5 rules and you trade twice a day that week. So you got 10 trades in the last cycle. 5 times 10, well, that's 50 total possible points. A perfect adherence score that week would be 50 out of 50. Let's say you actually scored 35. So your weekly adherence is 35 over 50, 70%. You had 50 chances, 50 opportunities this past week to act in your own best interest, and you showed up as your best self 35 times. I'm sorry, I'm hitting the mic stand here. Now you're going to group together the lowest scores, the undesired trades from that batch, or if you don't have a bunch of trades that are standing out as just super problems, you want to look across all rules and see which one got broken most often. And if you look at it from that pure rule perspective across all trades, remember, you're not looking at wins or losses. Which rule was broken most often? When you are first, reaching consistency as a trader, issues, they jump out easily, right? There's no way to not know what you need to work on in the following week. There's issues all over. You're just spotting where rules slipped. You're looking at the things that are going to be the most impactful to change, right? So as you get better, you're just focusing on that slippage. So let's say your data shows that, and this is what mine showed. It showed previously and currently that I was entering trades way too early. Well, way too early back then. Currently, I'll talk about my stats from just this past week. But just for an example, when I first started this system, I noticed I was entering trades way too early, right? So the first thing I wanted to do was dig for reasons. I'm looking for any correlation in my trade journal that matches when these rules were broken. Trade journal on Tuesday says, tired today, went to birthday party last night. And then I see that next day trades were horrible, right? That's gold insight right there. And then you want to start hunting for what we call the first domino. You want to look for similarities in your data where a single solution fixes multiple issues. Again, when I first started doing this, I was trading on a tick chart. And I would enter when I saw my setup when a bar was under 200 ticks. One cycle, I noticed, right? I fixed the problem and was getting to the next one. And I noticed that I kept getting in early, missing the 1 point away from the close candle target of where I would enter the trade. And my review sheet showed no, as I was grading myself. Entry timing, it showed no. And also a lot of no on entry location, and they were grouped together. So I'm looking at the data, I'm analyzing this, and I figured out by just fixing the timing, it would upgrade the location, right? If I just got in, not with 400 ticks, right? And the bar is still moving all over, I still waited for that 200, 150 ticks. Then there was less movement and less chance that it would void the spot that I needed to get into the trade. So I was looking, and you're going to be looking in your data for commonalities and related issues where one solution can help you grow faster. Once you've got that problem that is going to be solved and move your skill set forward, it becomes your next week or your next cycle's total focus as you seek to raise the success percentage on that one rule alone. All your attention goes to that. That's the most important thing for the next week. Now, out of 10 trades, if location and timing, only hit 4 times, right? That's 40%. You're going to work on that until it's 80% for however many cycles it takes. Okay? Until it's dead. Excuse me. So how do you do this? How do you actually stop breaking rules and sabotaging your trading? I'm going to walk you through the steps, explaining the reasoning, and then I'm going to show you this in action. So there are 4 steps, and then I'll explain the reasoning behind each of them, and then I'll give you a real world example. So step 1 is you're going to name the single issue or multiple issues if they share one solution. Step 2, you're going to work on upgrades to your self-image clarity, right? And that's that trading plan piece in the last episode, if you missed it. Step 3, you're going to create a chart action to take. Step 4, create a visual cue. Number 1, name a single issue. 2, upgrade your self-image clarity. 3, create a chart action to take. And 4, visual cue. So here's the why and the psychology behind this approach. Number 1, a single focus. Human focus is powerful. Clarity is powerful. And the truth is, trading improvement can feel like, or just trading in general can feel like, it's like you're getting jumped in a dark room, right? You get slapped in the back of the head, you turn around, you get slapped in the other direction, you turn around, you're getting kicked in the knee, can't see what's attacking you until, you get slapped and you're like, oh, there it is, right? After some time, you're emotional, you're reactive, you're dizzy from spinning and running in circles, chasing ghosts. Your confidence is trashed. Your account is bleeding. And over time, this leads to career death. Then you head over to YouTube and you make a I'm quitting trading video. Trading's brutal, man. But instead of getting jumped in a room, you focus on one single issue, and it completely changes things. You wait. You're sitting in that room. You're waiting. You're listening. And when that first foe comes up, you hear him. You grab that mofo. You choke him. Feel him drop. And you know that there's other battles out there, right? There's going to be more trading problems, but you know that one won't be getting up. I knew when I was facing that early entry, that wasn't going to be an issue much longer. And you keep doing this, and eventually the room starts emptying out. And you can start focusing on finding the light switch in that dark room. You start focus on improving from the foundation of being able to actually follow your plan, where the real trading begins. So number 2, upgrade to self-image clarity. Well, obviously there's some misalignment between who you are now and who you are as a successful trader. And that clarity is the first step in bridging the gap, right? So you write out the qualities of your future self that eliminate those old habits from your psychology. right? So you're improving mentally based on the rule that's broken. And, I scored horribly in that example, right? Which really happened on the location and timing rule. So I wrote my future self always enters trades on time. I always enter trades on time. I easily and effortlessly enter trades at the right time, right? And I started to morph it into something that was me in the moment, not pushing success out and getting on that pain path we talked about earlier. And it started building a relationship with that version of me. And when I did that, it made the change deep and actually possible because I was addressing the roots of the fruit that had grown. That's why that's important. Now, number 3, creating a chart action. If you stop doing something, but don't install new habits, the old ones will always come back because the firing of those neurons, those mental synapses, that's a well-paved path. It's easy to just, be yourself and who you were. Unless you're mindful about change, you'll never actually change. So a chart action gets that new habit firing. You have to think outside of your current box, more like your future champion self and that version of you. When I had the timing issue and kept entering the trades early, I looked at Ninja Trader and at the tick counter, right? Because you have to be creative in this area sometimes. And sometimes you do it a week and say, oh, you know what? I have a better way I can do this. But I started by looking at the tick counter indicator. And I noticed okay, this is what I'm going off of, but it's in the bottom corner. So I got to look in this corner and then try to navigate up to where price action is. And I said, oh, this is a problem. So I found an indicator at an indicator warehouse and store that would count ticks on top of the bar, if the bar was bullish, and on the bottom if it was bearish. But right there on the bar, not in the corner. Now that's a change action on my chart that literally aids my behavior every single trade. All I had to do was just prompt myself to focus on it. And number 4, why the visual cue? Have you ever had something to do and just completely forgot? Right? Of course you have. I have too. You ever wanted to make a change and just forgot? Like, I'm going to exercise in the morning. And then it's almost noon. You're like, damn, I forgot about that. Or I'm going to eat healthy. And you go out with friends and just order something. Forget you're, on a diet. Familiar brain patterns are always working against you. A huge part of change is remembering to change when it's time to change. If you miss the moment, you have to wait for the next opportunity and you've lost that chance to grow. So now, you're hoping, oh, I remember to work out tomorrow or I'll start the diet the next day. Now in life, not a huge deal, right? Because of course you can start the diet the next day. You're delaying it, but it's right there. Not that huge of a deal. But in trading, it's always a situation of carpe diem. Often talk about the growth zone, right? How traders improve mostly from repeating the right actions in the live market conditions. Well, if I miss a chance because I forgot, and again, let's say I had 10 trades that week, 2 each day. Monday, I didn't have a visual reminder and I simply forgot what my focus was. That's 20% of my weekly growth opportunity trashed. Those 2 out of 10 trades gone forever. And what scares me, right? Still, but especially when I'm starting this system, what scares me is missing chances to improve. And then knowing that by doing that, there's no telling how many days, how many weeks, how many months I've added to the time that I'm not at my goal, added to the time that I'm not consistently profitable. So you need something on the computer, on the desk, hanging from the ceiling, written on your hand, a visual reminder that says, hey, remember to be the most updated version of you today. And this is especially important if there are certain situations that you have to act different, right? Maybe you react to something that happens and then, it doesn't happen, then bam, it happens. And that's your moment. I like those videos on social media where someone says, have a great day. And the person just says something random, right? Or they say, okay, here's your receipt, here's your food, enjoy. And you say, you too. It's like, wait, why did I say you too? Right? Those are the opportunities. And when they're missed, they're gone. So you have to have something reminding you that, hey, the opportunity might come. Be ready to be different. Right? And you're consciously thinking about being the best version of yourself. So here's exactly what to do. And what I'm doing differently next week. This is just I did a trade cycle about a day or so ago. So Monday I'll have a new system just based on that cycle ending, and a new focus. And again, you're staying locked on a focus until you actually overcome it. So during this last 50 trades, I had a 76% total adherence score. And I looked at the rules that I violated most. And it's similar to the one, that's why I mentioned the one earlier. It was violating similar to the old trading style, which made me think like, geez, Jason, but it is a new style. 26% of trades broke my proximity rule. And my data shows that fixing this alone could jump me from, and again, this is just numbers on paper. This is what I'm basing my implementation for next week off of. But fixing that rule alone would take me from a 76% rule adherence to a 90% rule adherence. That's a 14% increase just from working on one thing. So proximity to my signal candle is part of A+ trading. So if I'm looking back at last week's data and I eliminated, that 26%, that would have provided me a win rate of 86%, right? I actually won at 68%. So basically my adherence currently, 76% rule adherence equals a 68% win rate. My target is to eliminate this one rule, which would give me 86% rule adherence. Anything over 80 is great, which would be an 80% win rate on paper. So goal is always adherence improvement, right? But the only reason I'm mentioning the win rate, because I want to paint the picture here that when you have a process that aligns with your profit goals, you can focus on the process. And by focusing on the process, it's going to change the bottom line. So next week, I need to lock in on reacting properly to my entry candle. If I'm more than 5 Unirinco bars away, no trade. And here's my exact plan. So step 1, I name in the issue, right? I need to enter within 5 candles of the signal bar that my chart displays, right? So I'm very clear on the action that I need to take when I need to enter this trade. Number 2, self-image clarity. Looking back last week, I was overconfident. The version of me that's been profitable for decades doesn't get cocky. They trade consistently, boringly. So my new affirmation is, it's simply, the rocket bar fires, 4 bars max, I enter or pass. But I've also been doing, I talked about the hypnosis work and I'm consistently always, which is a foundation for this show, focused on NLP, right? I don't use the certification or anything, but it does help me with just life things. So I created kind of a deeper, more affirmation, but something simple, right? For me, it's in very small, simple moments. I naturally take actions that align with my freedom, authenticity, and power, right? That has a lot of deep meaning because of values work. But that with the rocket fires, 4 bars max, enter or pass, right? That's who I am. Those are all things that I'm going to be working on in my psychology over the next few weeks. And yours could be simple, right? I follow my entry rules perfectly every day. Whatever works for you, right? And again, this is not vague. This is a statement that you're just becoming that person, right? And you have actions that you can take, right? And you're aligning both of those, and it's going to start to implement itself. All you have to do is just be intentional about it. And so when I use this, well, I'm going to say the affirmation in the morning, right? Replace my old ones. Midday, probably while I'm trading, I like to have a mantra going on while I'm trading. And then I'll say it before my bedtime. And it's not cumbersome, right? Because this is my plate now until I hit that adherence target. Number one, it's moved to the top priority in my life. Of course, family, God, things like that, but it's going to be important. Number 3, chart action, right? I know my bar size parameters. So this is what I'm going to do. And I may change this, but all I can think about is I'm going to drag a trend channel across the chart for every session. And yes, it's cumbersome, but it's going to force me to focus on this week's rule and how far I am from the entry spots on these trades, right? Obviously, I need to bring this to my attention. So I don't mind a little extra work and focus and mindfulness I have to bring to this situation. And then number 4 is the visual cue. Now I'm going to start with, and I've already did this, 4 large sticky notes. And it says, let me look over and see. It says 4 bars from the crossover or less, right? So it's just a visual reminder. And it's on these huge, like the long yellow sticky notes, not the little square ones, like the long rectangle ones I'm using. I do a lot with sticky notes. So I got 4 of them on each side of my main computer screen. Now, if I go blind to them, right, then I'll move them around. I'll swap colors of them. I'll change the notes, whatever keeps it fresh, right? Sometimes you change something, then you get used to it. It's like, oh, it just is. But taking all 4 steps makes change a life priority when you implement these things with mental and psychological support. No doubt I'll be better at this adherence rule and a better trader in a week or so, right? But again, I'm going to work on it until I reach that step. So this is how deliberate change works. I'm not saying it's the only way, but it's a way. Gets uncomfortable implementing new systems, but success payoff is massive, especially versus getting slapped around in that dark room. With this clarity, I'm going to move forward, and so will you. So let's recap what we covered today. Let's close this out. Your trading problems aren't random. They're assignments from life working for you when you've got clear goals. So there's some shifts we talked about. Goal setters are able to unlock a game board in life where problems become growth opportunities. Shift 2, you want to stay emotionally neutral, especially around your desire because of those pendulums we talked about that push goals away when you grip too tight on the outcome. Relax. Breathe. Focus on who you have to be. And then we handed you a monster kill book, right? 3 improvement methods. Relationship, build intimacy with your system, your future self, and your trading data. Decrease the relationship with the undesired things. The reaction method, right? Mastering that small window after mistakes. And you're doing that with these preset protocols. Right? So, hey, I'm going to react a little bit better than I did last time. And then reduction method. Drop baggage 1 occurrence at a time. Trade up to your future self gifts. The success generator system, it ties it all together, right? So you run the cycle, you grade your adherence, you find the first domino, what single issue will have the most impact once transformed. And then you attack with 4 steps, right? You name the issue. You're going to upgrade your self-image clarity. You're going to put some action on the chart that forces you to do something differently, right? And brings action to your new psychology. And then you got to have a visual cue. So when the time to change comes, you're more likely to remember, oh yeah, this is the time where I have to inject logic and new consciousness. And then you have to let the improvement motivate you, right? Like when I was looking, and this is why I shared the numbers earlier, my 50 trade review showed 76% adherence. Fixing the proximity rule alone will jump me to 90%, which potentially would be an 86% win rate. One rule, 14% execution gain. That's motivating. It's motivating. And it's motivating from a chance of still looking at the process, because the process improvement is motivation. I didn't even talk about the 86, I did mention it, but I'm not even focused on the 86% potential win rate. So your action this week, pick the lowest scoring rule from your last cycle. If you're just starting the system, run the cycle this week, log the data. Once you have that lowest scoring, run the 4 steps, choke out that first foe in that dark room. And then you're going to watch the light switch of your future get closer. This is the last of the 3-episode series on destroying trading psychology, issues and these illusions that are plaguing us. You've got the system. Execute or stay stuck. I don't even know what we're going to talk about next week. We'll see how this week goes. But it's going to be valuable. Today, I hope this is something. I hope something in this content resonated with you or positively impacted you. Thank you for listening. I'm Jason E. And here's to being the hero of your story.